Go, it's going live.
I'm bummed that
That's like, is that better, Chris?
wasn't able to come because I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, it's better. It's worth doing.
Is it streaming? I don't see it on my end, but
I'm gonna talk about it too.
It should be. I'll check
oh,
it.
yep, we're good. Yay!
You find it?
Oh, yeah. Did you see the bands, Chris? They're white this year.
The what?
The vans. Did you see the vans in Child Live yesterday?
No,
Oh, yeah.
I was not home.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna send you some pictures that we took.
They're white, huh?
Yeah, but they look really good.
Oh, there we go. Those do look good.
Yeah. So if you want to bring those up during the broadcast, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, they turned out good.
I was gonna say, what's the pickup truck for? But that's Kyle's truck, huh?
Yeah, we put the same logos on it because it's going because of the auction. Oh, I'm gonna use this picture on Instagram and say that.
Looks good.
Yeah, they were live.
Oh, you want to know what I found yesterday?
What?
I'm gonna send you a picture. I found Stroop waffles made into s'mores.
Hey, Chris, the one here, the weirdest thing ever.
I've never actually eaten. Oh. Ones, if you're here, I'm seeing them. Okay.
I just figured out
Oh, yeah.
how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I used to do that. Stream on my notebook. Good morning, Rick. Hans is laughing.
Hans, I have them all on display in my office. So we bought these fruit waffles. They had the 2-pack snack at Costco. They're like little individually wrapped little baby fruit. Yeah.
Actually have some?
Yeah.
American made.
Yeah, but then I guess there's a million different things.
Imagine doing s'mores. Yeah, but you get I was
United.
United in the last 6 months. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, kid.
There we go. Good morning. you're supposed to talk to me.
Well, mine's frozen. Look.
Oh, I don't have. Oh, you know what? I don't have questions. Where's my questions?
Frozen in time. Good morning, everybody.
Uh-oh. I don't know.
I can see questions.
Huh, I
Mike's
can't.
saying good morning.
Oh no.
Oh, Mark Ibarra. Man, thanks for joining us early this morning. Looks like Jessica watching the sunrise over LAX. Shoot LAX.
Oh, I think she's still on her way here.
Yeah. We'll see.
Oh, Samantha, look at you guys all. Nicole, we got the whole team here. Hey,
Josh
Nick.
Pierce. All of our guests.
Yeah.
Guests are joining us on Bead Maker and Coffee.
They must be here. Morning. It must be. Yeah, everybody's flying. It's so early.
So you can tell that Sydney and I are together today.
Yep.
Like the Brady Bunch.
Yep. I know, right? That's what it feels like.
Up and down. We are here live at PNS headquarters, and we're in Stephen Chin's showroom.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Really nice supply store, all PNS products, great towels, polishers. It's really cool. Really nice setup.
Keith's awake. Yeah, so if we get time, we will take you on a little tour around the store. It's pretty cool. Good morning, Adam. Awesome. All right, so why are we here?
So today is the beginning of our pickup day, where we get together with the team to, we used to call it the McCall's MotorWorks Revival, but now it's called the MotorLux.
Yep.
The official detailing team for the MotorLux, it comes from members of the Detail Mafia and sponsored by PNS. This is a PNS event. And so today is when we all fly in, we all get our plan together, we go to our hotel, and we prepare to descend on the Monterey Car Week, starting at the Jet Center tomorrow, right?
Yep.
And then we finish the week off at the Quail, and we're even doing some work for an auction this year called the Broad Aero Group, which is really cool. I'm excited to do that, see where that takes this team.
Yeah.
And a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. So yesterday, Kyle and I got here yesterday morning, and we helped set up all the vans. So every year there's 2 vans that carry the crew from the San Francisco area to Monterey. And so we get them all with logos and get them all, built out, put all the detail stuff in there. So, we carry, 25 buckets and everything that you could possibly need for 25 teens. And so it's a lot of stuff. So we are just a traveling crew. We take everything that we'll need for the whole week. How many cases of product was there?
I don't know, but we're not supposed to open the doors on the back of the van.
There was a lot.
It's going to fall out.
Yeah.
These some pictures Chris is sharing of the white Sprinter, and then I have my truck here for support as well to carry things around for us, whatever we need to do. Kind of don't know exactly what we're going to run into. So we just have everything prepared for that. So all of our friends that are joining us today, Anthony, when we pick you guys up from the airport, just look for the big white vans. They're hard to miss. They have every logo that is associated with this team on it. And really excited, including earlier we saw the back of the van, it had the Rad Company. So 4 members of the Rad Company are going to be joining us. Josh and Levi and a different Anthony. Some of their camera guys, right? And Jimmy, right?
Yep, Jimmy.
And so we're excited to have them join us as part of the team and go and not only take care of these vehicles, but get some great photos and great video content for PNS and for the Rad Company and for the individual team members that are going to join us. That's part of why we do this. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So the Rad Company is in the chat, and they just mentioned that it will be Jimmy's 21st birthday on Wednesday. So
party.
Yeah. So funny story about Jimmy. So he started with the Rad Company. I think he was only like 16 or 17 when he started working for them. So he's been with them for quite a while, and so he is super excited to turn 21. He'll be with all of us.
Very talented young man. I'm excited to hang out with Jimmy.
I did tell him that's a bummer that you'll be with me, Jimmy, because I still think of you as like, you know, I mean, when I met him, he was the same age as my daughter is now. So I'll make sure he stays safe.
What a birthday party, though.
Yeah.
We're in the MotorLux event, which formerly known as the McCall's Motorworks Revival, and maybe the swankiest party that I've ever attended. So maybe the best 21st birthday for Jimmy ever.
Yep.
Or best birthday party ever.
Yep.
Good way to start it off. So Keith said the 27 cases of product, and that's just the cases, not including all of the totes full of towels and buffers and pads and brushes and chemicals and accessories. So we're stocked up. All right. So why don't we get into talking about our week, what we did last week, and some of our favorite detail of the week. And then we can go a little bit more and start answering questions. So I believe you were going to start off, talk about, was it our reset towel?
Yeah. So, you know, the last couple of weeks has been crazy in my shop. I've been doing a lot of coatings and a lot of, you know, standard stuff. But I think one thing that really stood out to me in the last 2 weeks was, you know, I get to, obviously, a lot of my customers come back, so I get to see their cars, and I'm usually dealing with, you know, Inspiration or Legend or Soul or something like that. But what I thought was really cool this last 2 weeks was I had a that came, he had bought a new vehicle and had gone to another shop in Boise to have his ceramic coat put on. So he didn't, you know, he lived in my area but didn't know about me. And so no big deal. He went to a fantastic shop. I don't know the brand of the coating, but what I thought was interesting, because I don't generally get to work on a lot of other brands of coatings that I haven't personally tried. And so what I thought was cool was he came to me for basically his coating maintenance. So the original shop had actually said, "Oh, I didn't realize you live out in this area. You know, it's honestly better if you just go to her for your maintenance because it's closer to you." You know, the shop is really far away from his house. And so I thought that was really nice. So the shop referred him back to me. And so he brought his truck in for just the regular yearly, you know, we full interior and then the ceramic maintenance. And so again, I don't know the brand of the coating, but what I thought was cool was, one, it was in great shape. It was awesome. But I used the reset towel, obviously, and then the Bead Maker. So we did the, you know, clay and seal method to just, you know, decontaminate the coating, you know, pull out anything from the pores that were clogging it. And what I thought was so cool was it just literally made the coating look like it was just put on again. And I love that method so much, using the reset towel and Bead together. You know, and I have yet to find a coating that it doesn't work with, but that method is just so, I mean, I've been doing it for like 5 years now, and I still, every time I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the coolest thing. So, you know, it was kind of fun to have, you know, I had no idea what was on there, and it worked flawlessly, and the truck looked amazing. And, you know, even the customer, when he walked in, he just was like, it literally looks like the day it was done. And, you know, it's been like 18 months since he had it done. And so I just think that's so cool that, you know, that we can revive the coatings and, you know, prolong their life and make sure the customer's getting their full value out of what, you know, they paid for that coating. And, you know, that's part of the reason we do coatings, right? To keep them looking brand new for as long of, you know, period of time. So that was just one that stood out to me, where I thought, you know, it's just so cool that we have these products and that they can do that. And, you know, it's just so versatile and, you know, makes me look like a superstar to my customers. So I thought that was awesome.
One of the reasons I love the reset towel is because I fell in love with it. I never liked synthetic towels.
Right.
I was always, and I never liked the discs either. I always liked the mitt, and I never even put my hand in the mitt. I just liked the control of it. And when we started playing with, and I've played with other clay towels before, they felt stiff or they didn't roll up nice, and I just didn't like it. But when we started playing with the reset towel in its prototype state before we went ahead with it, I fell in love with how soft it is. Not just the rubberized material, the clay media, but the backing, the red. and that's all I want to use now.
Mhm.
My guys will
Yeah.
pull out a clay mitt, and I'm like, "Well, you do the roof with that. Give me the reset towel. I'll do the sides." Um, some life out of the other ones that I have running my shop, or mobile shop. But yeah, I really do love the reset towel and how it works with, either Bead Maker to do a one-step clay protect, or if we're going to do, we did it the other day and we used a lot of paint gloss because we were going to lay down some different protection. We are going to actually polish it. I didn't want to waste my Bead Maker because it's liquid gold. But then I did a vehicle where I was going to recoat the hood. So I actually used a little bit of I actually used glass cleaner as my lube because I didn't want to add any protection.
Right.
And then after that, I paint prepped it and coated it because it just needed to be stripped and recoated. So I'm really enjoying that. Now, another thing I'm really enjoying myself is our Express Sidekick. I know these are two items we just came out with, but since they're so fresh, I'm trying to find ways to use it in different, that isn't normal. The other day we did an airplane, and it's been about 4 months since I finished a project doing a large airplanes. And this thing's going to get repainted, but in order for them to do their inspection before the new airline purchases it, they want to see it clean. So we did a rinseless wash on the entire airplane, and underneath all the windows had baked in streaks, and the paint in some areas is smooth and shiny, in some areas it's kind of dull and chalky. These airplanes came from a Malaysian airline, just not the same standard as here. I actually used the Sidekick with a little EnviroClean to massage the black streaks that were under the windows, and they disappeared. But EnviroClean wasn't doing it by itself, so that together worked really, really well for me. So the Sidekick, not only for interiors, it comes in great on plastics, on trim, to exfoliate it before solution finish or get streaks off. I wouldn't say put it on nice shiny paint, but it has some great usage. So I wanted to share that today. So Chris, do we have any questions we can start with?
There's at least one.
So you guys can start sending in your questions because we got a lot going on today, and we want to show you guys around here. So send them in, we can get to them.
There you go. Here's the first one.
All right. Do you have any spray-on products that will take water spots off?
They'll remove water spots. We do and don't. So we have a water spot remover. I don't recommend spraying it. It is an acid. And I don't like when acids are shot out into the air because you're going to breathe them in that state. I would recommend taking our water spot remover and either using a microfiber towel, or I really love using one of our Saver applicators, applying it on there, and then kind of applying it to the water spots like you were applying a ceramic coating. I talked about this in one of our newsletters last month, where as you're applying it and you have a good amount of water spot remover on the surface, you can see the rings where the water spots are. And as you're applying, you can watch them break down. And once it's one solid, I'd say congealed area, when it's fully wet, you don't see those spots, then it's time to deactivate with a base and rinse it away. So we could use EnviroClean, we could use Brake Buster because it's handy, but make sure you deactivate it. But try not to spray anything on water spots. Now, another thing is Sydney's favorite. If you get water spots on windows, go to Clarity Cream. Clarity Cream will do a great job of not just removing the water spots, but shining those windows up, cleaning them really well. It's safer because you're not working with acids. You don't need you can get away with just normal usage. But if you use our water spot remover, wear safety goggles, wear gloves, wear a respirator, protect yourself because it's harmful to your body. Anything to say about that? Don't
Nope.
go spraying.
Yeah. Just
spray.
don't go spraying, definitely the hand applied. And it is just one of those things that you really want to watch your time. You want to know what you're doing. Like anything we say, do a test spot. The one thing that I have noticed is, there's a lot of water spot removers out there, and sometimes you will remove the actual water spot, but you won't remove the etching with water spot remover. And I've seen, we all see on TikTok and Instagram and stuff, and some people just overuse the water spot remover. You really have to know the difference between the actual mineral on the paint and then the etching. And so, I had one a couple weeks ago that I used quite a bit of water spot removal, and it did take the mineral off, but they had been there for a while. So there was a lot of etching. So, it's definitely not, it's not going to totally save it. So it just depends on how long the water spots have been there.
Yeah, you have your surface level water spots, which are really easy to remove with the water spot remover. And they could be 6 months on there. They could be a year on there. It depends on how much baking in the sun.
Yeah.
And if the vehicle is protected, they're just sitting there. But if it sits there too long and it eats into the surface or bakes in or etches, there's many terms. You're going to end up needing to do some compounding, polishing. Sometimes, they can get as bad as sanding. Hopefully not. That's years of abuse if you're going to have to sand water spots out. There is one time that I do spray acid, and we have to protect ourselves when we do it. It's when I do the bottom of boats. Boats sitting on a trailer, there's water spots underneath. I will have to spray underneath there, and then we brush it. That's the only time I would do it, because I'm just not going to crawl under there and wipe acid above my head. But we do that often. There's a whole other beast there. You got to protect the trailer. There's a lot of aluminum on trailers. You don't want that acid all over it, so protect the trailer as well. Great question.
Yeah.
From Paul. Paul, where are you from? When you get a chance, share your
chat.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Gabriel. Good morning, Gabriel. So he wants to know, why does it have that typical smell and not a nice smell to it? So
we should ask chemists.
Yeah. So you guys are fortunate. We actually have Dave Phillips is in the room, and so he can make sure that we answer this question correctly.
Can we have a hey Dave real quick?
We have a hey Dave.
Hey.
So
here,
he Gabriel has
comment on the acid.
Yes.
Acid.
No, we
You
love it.
can't ship that stuff.
Oh yeah. So the water spot remover, why it's hard to find is we can't ship it. So
Why am I not in your camera? That's
There you go.
Okay.
now you're on both. Okay, so the question is why does Iron Buster have the smell that it does? He does not like the smell.
Oh yeah, it is the active ingredient. So the active ingredient smells like that. We do a little bit better than some on the odor, but it's just you can't have the product work without that ingredient, and therefore without that smell.
What is that called? Ammonium
Thioglycolate. Fun. If you've ever watched what's the one with Reese Witherspoon, I think it is, or something. It's a pretty funny movie.
Because you can remove iron with an acid. I mean, that's what our crystal wash does. It dissolves iron. That's a great product it works right on wheels.
Sure. This is basically doing a similar thing where you're reacting with the iron. It just gives a nice show. I mean, it is showing that it's doing its job.
Right.
So that's kind of fun.
Just dissolving the iron on the surface. And is it a lot more safe on like brake calipers than acid would be? Because acid tends to totally destroy.
Yeah, it depends on, there's a bunch of ways to do it. I mean, there's strong acids, which are typically what we're using in a water spot remover. Crystal wash is a weak acid. And it tends to grab, not only it tends to dissolve it, but it also tends to grab hold of it. It acts like a chelate. But it is, I mean, as long as it's not necessarily safer than strong. I mean, it is safer than strong acid, but it's not necessarily safer than a weak acid.
What deactivates it? Just water? Does it completely just rinse away?
It just rinses away.
But with an acid, we still need to neutralize.
Yes.
So
You can get flash rusting. You can get a bunch of things with acids that you don't get.
That's what my thing was, is like if you leave an acid on brake calipers, which we see from like car washes.
Right.
Eventually the paint just falls off and they rust. But with Iron Buster, it's not going to do that when you thoroughly rinse it.
Correct. That is correct. All right. Good.
I just learned something too.
Cool.
Thank
That's
you,
a great
Dave.
question. Great question.
No, for sure. Yeah, really.
All right.
Good morning.
Ooh,
The
all right,
sun's
got
coming in.
another
Look at
good.
All right. So, do we have another question, Chris? We have
Sure
some good-
do.
Oh, this is a trigger for me. I'm just about out of the limited edition blue bead maker. Any plans on releasing either an updated version or another limited edition version? So I'm going to say no. But I mean, I could be vetoed, but I like Bead Maker the way it is, and I tend to get a little bit mama bear about it. So
That's on my Bead Maker.
sorry, Anthony, if you're listening, but I was not a fan of the blue, and I was not a fan of the smell. So my vote will always be to keep Bead Maker as it is.
Yeah, I love that mango smell.
Yeah,
and works great. The color's great. So keep your gallon around so you can remember it as it's your limited edition bottle, and you're gonna have to buy some Bead Maker because that's not in the works.
Yep.
That's funny though.
That is funny.
I still have mine's pretty full still.
That is
I
funny.
think I have one bottle out of it, so 32 ounces out of the whole thing is gone.
I still have my entire gallon. And it's funny because I feel like sometimes people go on the Rag Company Q&A when I'm on there just to see me and Anthony argue about that. All right. Next up, we have, do you guys recommend putting on more than 1 or 2 coats on a repaired oxidized hood? Mark, are you talking about coating?
I think he probably is.
Probably a coating. So we always recommend 2 coats, no matter what combination you're using. So if you're using Inspiration or Legend, always do 2 coats. In my case, I always do a 1-in-1. So whether I'm using Inspiration or Legend, I always top it with Soul. So we always recommend putting 2 coats. Now, a repaired oxidized hood.
So you're removing the dead, whether it's single stage paint, so you're removing that dead layer of paint or that really bad layer of clear coat. Yeah, I think 2 coats is going to be best because you want it to kind of fill the pores that have been damaged, from the sun and protect them. And I feel that that's your best way you can protect it. But once you get oxidation, it's like skin cancer, right? Once you remove it, it comes back with a vengeance. And so you have to baby those things. And so that would be best. I know this because so many RVs, once you get that oxidation, if you continue down the same course, it'll never get better. So yeah, I would say Inspiration because it works well on plastics. And I feel that it's going to feel nicely, and then top it with Soul. Legend on that may sit on the top. I want it to get down in there. A little less solids. He kind of wrote a whole story.
Oh, that was me replying.
Oh, okay. We replied. Thanks.
Giving my experience.
Gotcha.
It'll extend the longevity for sure, but it's not going to stop healing.
Funny. All right. One more question from Gabriel. This is a funny one. One more question for Queenie. How many different secret products did you use last week? So this is a great question. I would say the answer is probably 2.5. So there's one new product that is a secret between me and Dave. I was told. And then one product that's not new, but you guys don't know about it. So I would say 2.5. 2.5. I was talking to Gabriel the other day about in my shop, when people come over, I have to hide stuff. So we were talking about that. And he was like, wait, you have secret products in your shop? So that's why he's asking that question.
Apparently. Secret.
Now Kyle and I are both intrigued.
Yeah.
I found out about it.
Yeah, because I accidentally copied him in the email. I did reply.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, it was great. Yeah. Okay, so I'm tired of buying sprayer heads. Cheap ones don't last, and the pricey ones hurt to see them break or fail? What do you recommend? Man.
It's kind of a part of life as a detailer.
Yeah.
I don't buy a sprayer head at a time. I kind of like to buy like a whole pack of them. I usually have great results with the gray ones and the gold ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know all yours are gold.
Yeah.
And mine are usually the gray because that's what was available, especially during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just part of it. Now, if you want to preserve your sprayer heads, if they're like O-rings are going bad, I know some people that pull them out, spray it back in the bottle, put it back in, and get the product out of the O-ring.
Yeah.
If you got time for that, but it's just a cost of doing business. You got to add that to your run rate of your business.
Right.
And once a year, usually towards the end of the year, when I want to have things, I just buy a pack of them.
Yeah, and I think that's don't push them so far to where they frustrate you. And I occasionally do that, so I know what you're talking about. So we have to remember that we are using either chemicals or things with sealants in them, generally speaking, or silicones, thinking about our tire dressings and stuff. And, some of these seals and stuff in the sprayer heads, they were not meant to keep that product in that bottle or that sprayer head for that long. And so, like Kyle said, buy them in bulk so that you don't stress yourself out, and just, like the first sign that it's failing, just change it. I mean, that's what I do. I do use the Tolco sprayers. I use the gold ones. The gold ones were a little bit meant more for chemicals, so they tend to be a little bit more resistant to that kind of stuff. But yeah, just keep a stock of them and replace them. Don't push it to the point where you get frustrated. And I know that the last couple years with COVID and stuff, it really became difficult to get good sprayers and good materials. And it's just one of those things. I know that we went through a phase here at PNS where, we had less than ideal sprayers. And then we went through a phase where we had the coolest sprayers ever. So, it's kind of been like up and down. But for me, I change all those sprayers. So, and
there's only certain products that you're like, I never have to replace my sprayer with Express.
Right.
Or even like Undressed. Really, it is the tire dressings and the acids that tend to damage or completely lose it.
Yeah.
Sometimes what you got to do is just take your bottle and squeeze it a little and add some pressure and squeeze, and it kind of primes it.
Yeah. Forces
air and product through. It's always the acids for me. I mean, I just know.
Yeah.
And I don't even worry about it anymore. I just tell my guys, go grab another one, throw that away.
Yeah.
They're a couple bucks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just don't fight with them.
I hope that helps you find the ones you like. Usually it's been gray and gold for me. The blue ones, it works fine for glass cleaner for me. I just haven't had the white and blue.
Yeah.
They just didn't last very long for me.
They hurt my hands.
It's worth it.
Yep.
Joe found all your secrets. I don't think so.
Oh no, he didn't. Nope. I had more secrets. So can you use Hans? Good morning, Hans. Can you use Carpet Bomber as an interior cleaner, and what dilution would be best? I mean, you could.
It will work. It will clean.
Yeah, it'll work.
You can use it. I like what Express does to plastics more.
Yeah.
It leaves them nice. It doesn't look like it dries them out at all.
Yeah.
Nice, light glow. Carpet Bomber will clean. I mean, you could clean a whole interior with Carpet Bomber. But I would go by the standard dilution that's on there, because what do you do in your Carpet Bomber at?
Man, you guys like to ask me these
dilution
issues.
So
I always have to default to Keith.
I'm at like 4 to 1 with my Carpet Bomber.
Yeah, probably.
But
I
also have a straight bottle of Carpet Bomber.
Yeah.
Depending on
I do
what
too
I'm
for
doing.
stains. Yeah, for sure. So you could, but in a pinch, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. You're just not going to get that same finish that you do with Express. So
it's safe though. I mean, you're not going to hurt anything with it.
Yep.
Ooh, that's a good question.
This is a good question. When is ideal for crystal wash to be used? Is it used as a strip wash? So I think I use it a little bit different.
Yeah. Crystal wash has been around a while, right, Dave? and it's meant to be sprayed on the paint or those areas and crystallize and remove fallout. It was kind of one of the original fallout removers. And when is it ideal? Ideally in a shaded, cool area. And could you use it as a strip wash? Yes, because it will remove protection. It's an acid, very mild, as Dave said. Sydney got me hooked on using it on wheels, because crystal wash on a wheel and then follow it with brake buster on top with, and also on the wheels and tires and wheel wells was an amazing combination. I've used crystal wash on the side of an RV before. The whole bottom got hit by some sprinklers and the whole back had a lot of contaminants on it. Like it was like in an industrial area.
Yeah.
And it worked great for me. It removed the very fine spots and also, got rid of the roughness on the back. But crystal wash is kind of like Iron Buster.
Yeah.
It's great on wheels. It works great on paint. You don't want it to streak.
Right.
So I would always say I'd start at the bottom, work my way up. Don't want drips coming down through rubber or vinyl. And do you fully let it dry when you've done it? Crystal wash?
I've done both.
Yeah, it can be used both.
The original concept was to let it dry completely.
And it crystallized.
People
That's the
have used
idea.
it so much the other way that it seems to work out.
Yeah.
So I would use it, let it dwell almost to the point where it's about to dry, where you can see it's about to evaporate. And then I'd probably come in with my foam cannon and just foam right over it with either body wash or pearl and wash. Or do a foam, then rinse, or even do your rinseless, whatever you're going to do. So.
Yeah. And I like Kyle said, I like to use it on wheels. And that's probably my favorite way to use it. And for a couple different reasons. So, when I first started playing with crystal wash, we obviously didn't have Iron Buster. And for me, working from home in my shop and even out in my driveway, other fallout removers would smell so terrible. We talked about the smell earlier, but some of them are 4 times as bad as ours. And so I didn't like to use any fallout removers in my shop, because if I used them inside my shop, it would smell like that for 5 days. It smelled so terrible. And if I used them outside, it just, it made a mess in my driveway. And I live in a community and I didn't want that out there. So I really started using crystal wash for the wheels because I felt like I could spray it on it. It was clear and, didn't make a mess. It doesn't have anything like the smell of Iron Buster. And then when I would rinse the wheels and stuff, I didn't feel like I was leaving all that, gross purple stuff behind. And it works so amazing when paired with Brake Buster. So I'm talking like the first time the car comes in and, we need to totally reset it. So I don't do that necessarily as maintenance, but it just totally resets the wheels the same way Iron Buster does. So I do use Iron Buster now because I don't find that the smell lingers in my shop, but I do still really love crystal wash. And then the other time I really love crystal wash is coating maintenance, and car comes in and before I wash it, I, spray all along the bottom where the coating is generally clogged from, especially in Idaho, we have so much stuff in the air and we use magnesium chloride. Is that what's called? Yeah, mag chloride on the streets. And so I like to strip all the vehicles with crystal wash following the winter, and it does a fantastic job and, is easy, doesn't make a mess. And so I use a lot of crystal wash.
Yeah, I found that, like wheel acid, it can damage a driveway, right?
Yeah.
Crystal wash, I don't see any issues there. It doesn't hurt a driveway or because it is more mild. And the water on the ground, if you're washing traditionally, just deactivates it completely. So, or at least neutralizes on the ground. So you're not, leaving spots.
Yep.
Another great question. Watch, Dave, you're going to start making a lot more crystal wash now that the cat's out the bag.
All right. Next up. This is a good question. Do you guys just rinse the Iron Buster or do you go in and agitate?
Because I feel like if we're using Iron Buster, well, on wheels, I agitate. Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On paint, I feel like I'm using Iron Buster to remove fallout. So usually I will spray it allow it to turn purple, do the whole show. I almost want it to get to that point, just like crystal wash, where it's out to dry.
Yeah.
Even if I reactivate it with a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'll even hit it with the foamer to keep it wet.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll rinse.
Yeah.
Then we'll go into doing the soap and water contact wash, and then I clay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel that claying after is better because the Iron Buster is loosened up.
Right.
All of the metal fallout, and now if there's any left, I'm gonna knock it loose.
Yep. That's exactly what I do too. So yeah, I do agitate on the wheels for sure, and then on the paint, I do exactly what Kyle said. So I spray it, I let it do its thing, almost dry, and I spritz over it one more time. I just have, I don't even know why I do that, but I do the same thing. So, and that works really well for me. It just, and then I just go into my normal wash. So
the only thing I do like to do with Iron Buster when it's on it, I like to take our little soft bristle brush, the little crevice tool, and I like to hit the emblems with it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because one, it's going to sit there and you always see it draining down there anyways. Yeah. But two, in those emblems is some buildup. Yeah. And I feel that it allows me to get it. So when I do my thorough wash, I'm done with the emblems.
Yep.
Completely.
Totally.
Joe Kimball loves Kyle's.
Luis, do you dilute Brake Buster? No, unless you're using it in an IK sprayer. So I just, and we see this a lot, and it does always crack me up. When people say that, they can't get it to work, we get the questions all the time, right? And so they say, well, I can't get it to work. And we say, are you diluting it? And they say, yeah, 5-to-1, 10-to-1. And if you're using it straight out of a spray bottle, you should just be using it straight. Unless your wheels are so great maintained, and you wash them a couple times a week, but you've got them fully clean, then you could do like a maintenance mixture. But for me, if I'm going to spend the time cleaning the wheels, I want, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, if I'm going to spend that time, I just want to get them clean. And so I want all the good stuff.
If you dilute it and you dilute it more than 1-to-1, which I've heard from a few people, Justin has told me he does that. After that, if you go any further, it's not going to give you the results you need. Yeah. So if you dilute 1-to-1 or full strength, that's it. Because I've seen people that done 5-to-1 and they've said, oh, it didn't do anything. Yeah. And I'm like, well, you kind of pushed it past the point of allowing it to do its job. Right. It's diminishing return there. So yes, you saved some money, but now you're working 3 times harder to clean the wheel. Yeah. So
well, and where you're going to suffer with diluting it is the ability to clean the tires. You know what I mean? You want to clean your tires. So, and then just to follow that up, in case we are talking about an IK sprayer, 4-to-1 or 5-to-1.
Because
foamer.
Because the foam,
right?
It does some magic with it. It does. Yep. Thank you, Luis.
Hello, Facebook user. Who's the?
I don't know.
Hello from the Kyle fan club.
That's nice. I hope it's William.
Hans, this is a great question for Dave. He's still standing here. Will there ever be a PNS shower gel? No.
we don't see a market for it. In the car.
Well, and there's probably some crazy regulations on body products, right? I'm thinking he probably doesn't want to get into that.
Well, just hand sanitizer had to be approved, FDA approved stuff. So
no shower.
You really want your body gel made in the same tank,
right?
Wash and wax,
right? Hey, that might not be a bad idea. So if you couldn't hear him, he said, do you really want your shower gel made in the same tank as wash and wax? So no shower gel. No shower gel. All right, next up, just for fun. If starting tomorrow, all vehicles have been sprayed with a scratch and chip free paint, what is your business pivot? Wow, that's an
if it's scratch and chip free, I would still want my vehicle to be clean and shiny. Yeah. I would still want my interior to be clean, my wheels to be clean, and tires. And so I would still coat. I would still it's not going to scratch or chip, but I mean, when you wash,
you still want it to be easy to wash and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. scratch and chips is more on the PPF side.
Yeah.
So sorry, PPF installers,
Mhm.
you lost your market.
Yeah.
If everyone thing went scratch and chip free. I don't really, I mean, I do paint correction, but I do fix scratches, but it's not like my focus.
Yeah.
But people still want clean and shiny and smooth, and the interiors.
Yeah, the interiors.
People are still gross.
Yeah.
We're all, I mean.
Right. And they'll still find a way to scratch it. I promise you that. They'll find a way to scratch it.
Yeah, whether it's I mean, you can't not scratch it if you hit the side of a building and scratch it, or a pole.
Yeah.
And that's when the body shop guy comes in. So, no, I like the idea there. I get where you're coming from, but I think we're okay. PPF, you may be in trouble.
Yep. All right. Then we've got DS with, what pads do you like to pair with boat and RV restore for fiberglass?
Ooh, so I really like, we have a lamb's wool called the P2703 and a P2704, which is a 5 and a 6 inch lamb's wool. I love the lamb's wool because even and Kyle's has a lot of product in it with abrasive and oils and polymers and carnauba, it will completely clog up some of your foam pads, and it will mat down some of the taller microfiber pads. So I've always really loved the lamb's wool because you can get a little bit of cut, and if you feather it, you can get some nice finish. So lamb's wool works great. And then when it's dialed in, you could come back and use like a foam finishing pad. I've done blue and yellow. I kind of like the yellow. And so, yeah, that's been my favorite with Kyle's is our lamb's wool pads.
I really like the lamb's wool too. It does the most amount of work. And so again, you know, I'm going to do whatever is going to give me the best result in my first try. So I do like the lamb's wool. I've also used it on single stage paint, super oxidized. I've used it with the maroon buff and shine pad. And it's actually, I mean, I think that, you know, like any paint correction, you do a test spot and you figure out there's just going to be certain paints that are going to work different with different, you know, pads and things like that. And so for me, it was, I mean, the maroon, I don't know, it just did good on that single stage.
Well, and then that, you're going to probably use a few pads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You're going to go through some pads. You're not going to get a whole boat with 2 or 3 pads. When we do boats, me and my guys are using 3 or 4 pads per side. So you have 2 sides and then you have a transom. So there's a lot of area there. So you're going to need those pads. Plus I use 3-inch pads and I even cut custom pads to get around the emblems. So lamb's wool, give it a try. I think you'll like it. On a flex or a root vest, it'll work fine. If you're going to do root vest, you need a 21 because the 15 has a hard time pushing on fiberglass. It's really grabby, but the 21 has the throw that you can do it. Or like I use a Flex 3401 or an XCE, and it works great. All right.
Great question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna roll into this one because it kind of ties into Kyle's.
Cool. Okay. So Joe Kimball says, I used Kyle's on an older Toyota last week. It was super oxidized. I went through so much product as the paint was soaking up the product. Suggestions on product to use where paints that are so dry and oxidized like that just soak up. I think that is the answer, right?
Yeah. Kyle's, I could see, I mean, if you want to give it more moisture, do you think a glaze would help, like velocity after Kyle's? Or does Kyle's have more moisturizing? Yeah, that's going to be the most moisturizing you have. You may want to put Kyle's on really, really thin and let it sit. I don't usually recommend it. I always recommend cycling longer, but you may want to put it on, let it sit, absorb in, and then polish it again to make it so it comes off easy. Because Kyle's doesn't come off easy if you let it sit too long.
Right.
The other thing you can do is use Kyle's and then go to a traditional like carnauba paste wax, and that will help nourish those dry paints and kind of create a layer. Because coating on top of Kyle's isn't going to last forever because you're coating on top of a lot of different types of protection. And if you paint prep it, you're going to pull a lot of it out. So yeah, use Kyle's as your cut, use Kyle's as your finish, and try your pads.
Yeah.
That would help.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I would do. I would do 2 whole separate passes. Yeah. Use it
You're cutting and moisturizing, and then you're finishing moisturizing.
Right. Yep. Cool. And then I saw that we had a question for Dave.
Oh.
Okay. No, you're fine. So Joe says, I hope I don't get a lashing for this, but why does PNS sell the labeled bottles but sell the sprayers separately? So I think you're talking about the quart bottles. And the reason for this is because there is several different types of sprayers and everybody wants to be, individual. And so it just makes it easier for people to choose which sprayer comes with it. So like in my case, Joe, if I ordered the empty quart bottles and they came with the gray sprayer, then my whole system is messed up, right? So, people just like different types of sprayers. So there's, the gray, there's the golden black, there's orange. Like some people like the orange sprayers on their Bead Maker.
Which I can see that, fitting in really well.
Yeah.
One thing that's really important that I love that PNS does with our labeled bottles is they're labeled with all of the information on there that you need, approved information, safety information.
And the labels are chemical resistant, which is that's a big deal.
I mean, I used to, back in the day, I had my own black bottle, my own company logo on it, because I was like, I don't want people to know what I'm using. Now I want my employee to pick up the right product and not mix it up and not, the label look bad. So that's why we do that. And it allows you to pick, $1.50 spray nozzle or a $4.50 spray nozzle to your preference.
Yep.
Let's see. You were looking for
There was one for Dave regarding Legend. Okay, so Dave, this question's for you. What is Dave's preferred way to maintain 2 coats of Legend over time?
Well, you're going to be the best person for that. I mean, the only one I know is my own car. So, I mean, I have a lot less experience at, except for the testing thing. I like to treat it like you do. Bead Maker and Reset Towel is really an awesome way to go.
Yeah, that's going to be the winning combo right there. And so whether you have 2 coats of Legend or a coat of Legend and Soul, for me, with my customers, I always recommend, once a year, at most 18 months, we do, the full reset. So we're going to do, I might use Crystal Wash if I feel like the vehicle needs it. Otherwise, I just go straight to Clay and Bead Maker. And then, once in a while, I'll have customers that maybe, beat up their cars pretty good. And I'll go ahead and, maybe 2 years in, I'll throw another coat of Soul on just because it's so easy. But not too often do I have to do that. So usually just the Clay and Bead Maker, it really makes a huge difference, and it really maintains the coating. So Legend and Bead Maker.
And if you need to what is the term we use on Ultra Coat?
Reset. Ceramic reset. Yeah.
So if we need to reset the coating and just cleanse it, not only just clay it, you can use Ultra Coat polish.
Right.
Which that's why Dave's face is on the bottle, because it's this awesome product he made in 1987. That's right. Yep. And we found out that it works so good to remove very light spots from, coatings.
Yeah. Spots or light marring from, if I still have a lot of customers that still use a car wash, even though we've coated their car. And so sometimes you'll still get, brush marks and things like that. And, the UCP 1987 just takes those out so easy and kind of just rehydrates everything, and but doesn't affect the durability of the coating or
you're not going to remove the coating if you're coming back with like either a blue or a yellow pad, but I would clean it and top it again, whether it be Bead Maker or another coat of Legend or Soul. But they play well together. We know we've done that to a few cars over time, and that's what we determined that product works so good, better than any of the other products we've tried on coatings.
Yep. All right. So if you are using Crystal Wash, would you still need to use Iron Buster on the paint? My answer would be no. Right? Yeah, you don't need to do both.
Yeah,
they're kind of doing the same thing. I think the Iron Buster probably removes more iron particles. Do you feel like? I mean, does Crystal Wash still?
Still like, Crystal Wash always did like kind of like a 90% job.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so Dave is saying that the Crystal Wash does about a 90% job, but they're doing the same thing. It's just Crystal Wash, for me, it's always, I don't want to pull out the biggest, heaviest hitters if I don't need them, just as like me personally, because I'm in a shop in my home. So, probably 95% of the vehicles out there are going to be fine with Crystal Wash. And so you can reserve, Iron Buster if you need to, but you don't need to use both on the same vehicle. Yeah.
I mean, here's what I would use it for. I've had some gnarly vehicles in the past that were at like a industrial area where like they built water tankers.
Yeah.
And I had a lady with a Jeep that when it rained, it turned orange because she had so much iron. Okay. And they were like chopping metal on the other side of this wall. Mm-hmm. And so I would probably do Crystal Wash and remove as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And then I would probably come back with Iron Buster after I wash it and see what's left.
Right.
Because now it can tell you, it's an indicator. Mm-hmm. And then I would, if it did the job, you can tell the customer, yeah, I double checked it with an iron remover. It's all gone. I clayed it. You're not going to have, rust the next time you wash your vehicle.
Yeah.
I just think that'd be pretty cool as a test to prove you've removed it for her, or I did.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so this is a good question. Use Crystal Wash with an IK sprayer or a foam cannon. So this is going to be my answer, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm going to say no, because I don't think you necessarily want to like super aerosolize it, right? Yeah, no, don't put it in an IK sprayer or a foam cannon. Yeah, you don't, because it's a mild acid, but it's still an acid. So don't. Their
thing they did at the rag company where they defeated they kind of just made it like like an airless sprayer.
Right.
So it just kind of like sprays out liquid. If you alter your sprayer to do that, that's probably fine.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I wouldn't suggest doing that.
You don't want to atomize it. You just want to get it on the surface, whether it's by spraying or whatever method you choose. I would make sure if I did spray, I am upwind.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What's the big difference between Pearl and body wash? I have found that I really like body wash just because the foam is thicker. Is that the only difference, or is there a pH difference?
I'm pretty sure there's a pH difference. Body wash cleans a little bit more. I've found when I do an RV that I'm going to be doing some correction or work to, I usually go to body wash if I want to clean a little bit more thorough. But Pearl I use when I'm just trying to be as gentle as possible. But it is thicker. We can tell the viscosity of body wash is thicker. Is the dilution very similar?
The dilutions, well, I think, body wash is kind of like this just crazy foaming soap, right? And the concentrations are a little higher than they are, it's a much different formula than Pearl. But the net result is, it was kind of designed as a kind of a car wash foamer. So it's pretty darn, that's what it's designed to do. So it does a lot of foaming.
Yeah.
Body wash was intended to go through our Chemtrol and then fill on the bucket side to go into your bucket. So if you had a shop, you would dilute right there through the Chemtrol. And that's really, it's part of that line because it suited the Chemtrol system, just like EnviroClean and Tempest. And these are all great products that we have, but they bear the Chemtrol name because they were meant for Chemtrol.
Yeah.
You can use them without Chemtrol, but it's really cool in the Chemtrol system.
Yep.
That's what I have my body wash through.
Yep. All right. So we have a bunch of questions that we should be able to jam through a little bit. There was some
speed
kind
round.
of one. Yeah. So Anthony Brown's had a lot of really great questions. That should be easy.
You want me to skip ahead or what?
Well, I can't see them anymore. I've just seen them.
I
So
know.
he had one about the blue pad. Okay, so we've got one from, I have G-Tech CSL XO and have had it on for about 1.5 years. It has some Bead Maker. What would you use to refresh the coating maintenance? Exactly that. So just like we've been talking about, the reset towel and Bead Maker really should be all that you need. So yep, just keep maintaining it with that.
Bead Maker works great with
Mhm.
XO.
Yep. Awesome.
Hold on.
So Anthony had one about the reset towel and he had one about the blueberry pad. And then Rick had a great question about Legend also.
I can read that from it. You want the reset towel question? Oh, there it is.
Okay, so Anthony Brown, is the PNS blue pad the same as the Reflection Artist blueberry pad? Yes.
It is the same foam.
Same one.
Mhm.
Yep.
PNS has been working with Buff and Shine it's a great partnership for decades.
Yep. Yeah, there's actually a great video.
Oh yeah,
it's on the Rag Company channel. And it's about the relationship between Buff and Shine and PNS. And it's actually me and Justin, and we go back through the history. So if you want to know more about that, it's pretty interesting. The story is great. So go look that up on the Rag Company channel. I think it was just called Buff and Shine and PNS. So yes, same pad. Will there ever be a Dream Maker 32-ounce bottle? So I'm bummed that Bob left. So I was actually going to bring him on for this question. So
maybe
I think we just say it. I mean, we might get in trouble for saying this, but yes, the labels just arrived yesterday.
Yeah.
So yes, it's coming.
It was a surprise to us.
It's coming. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not happening next week.
Yeah. Right.
Give it some time.
Yes.
Don't go beating down your distributor's door yet.
Right.
We just got labels.
Yep.
The real question is, did you find a hot pink sprayer for it?
No, but that would be a good idea. But yes, I'm so excited. So Bob opened the box yesterday, and yes, they're on their way, Anthony.
It's kind of funny that I mean,
yeah.
I
was going to make Bob
labeled a bottle just to get pictures with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We have one bottle with one label just for content. So keep an eye out for that in the next 30 days to be announced, and we'll roll that out.
It's on its way. Okay, so reset towel once a year for maintenance. How often do you use Bead Maker after washing? So my customers that come in, I just suggest that they come in once a year for that. On my personal vehicle, here's the thing with the reset towel is you can use it more than once a year, right? So on my personal vehicle, I probably use it 4 times a year just because I can, right? It doesn't hurt anything. I did see another message from Anthony, so I'll just talk about this one in this question is, does the reset towel scratch the coating? No. So when you're using it with Bead Maker or paint gloss, the clay on our clay towel really is a reset. It's not meant for heavy contamination and something that you would need a true clay bar for. So it's not going to scratch the paint in the same way that what we have always been taught that clay scratches the paint. So the clay on this clay towel is mild, but it does a lot of work, but it does not mar the paint like you would. Now, on an uncoated car, I have had it cause marring, and you may need to do that. But generally speaking, on a coated car, it's not.
If you in beast mode, and like me, and just what you're gonna do is you're gonna haze the top of the orange peel. Which I tested because one of the worst offenders for me was like the Honda Accord. They had that orange peel at one time. Black ones, and I used to mar that and have to polish it. But it is really mild, to the point where I learned this. I had a really bad clay job, and I had to have my guys reclay the hood after I inspected it. But I like that. I'd much rather come back and give it a second go than worry about marring something up. Right. And that's why this buttery soft clay media on the reset towel is what it's for. Reset. Right. It's not strip. Right. And that's what most of Vine detailing is. I mean, if it's worse than that, I should be probably using Crystal Washer Iron Buster first.
Yeah. So if you're using it correctly, which if you go watch the video that Rennie did at Air Force One, when he was talking about the reset towel, he showed the different methods. So he talked about if you're doing contamination removal, if you're doing a clay and seal, he kind of showed you how you're not going to use that scrubbing motion. If you're doing the clay and seal, you're going to use nice fluid long motions, right? So there is different methods to using the towel. And Rennie kind of goes through those in that video. So you can check that out. But then back to the original question of how often can you do it? You can really do it as often as you need. But for my customers, I do just, suggest once a year. I do have like some farmers that come twice a year just because they like to make sure that their coating is staying,
I try
perfect.
and clay my truck quarterly.
Yeah.
With the reset towel and
Yeah.
Bead Maker.
Yeah. And
Because
that's what I
my
do,
truck
just
sits
'cause I can't-
outside,
right.
and the hood and the roof are like flat.
Yeah.
And so, there's always dust contaminants on my truck.
Yeah.
My wife's car, I do it once a year.
Yeah.
It's in the garage.
Yeah.
And then when it's
Yeah.
at work, it's actually
Right.
under a giant solar panel.
Mhm.
So it's protected from the elements.
Yeah. So then I feel like on that question, he also asked about how often you could put Bead Maker on, which I would suggest on a coating, really probably only use the Bead Maker maybe once every 2 to 3 months, because you will start, it may start building up per se, because when Bead Maker's on a coating, it doesn't wear down as fast as on, just being used as a sealant on paint.
Or just use it as a drying aid.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that will provide just a very even diluted amount of protection. But
yeah.
that would
The
be
wet
better.
method. Yeah. For me, I always like putting Bead Maker on wet
Yeah.
paint. So yeah. So that kind of covers that.
All right.
And then we had one from Rick Walling. And then Michael Hill chimed in. So I wanted to address that one too before we end here. So Rick said, I was told by Michael Hill not to do 2 layers of legend, 1 layer of legend, 1 layer of soul, and then Bead Maker.
Mhm.
So absolutely. So Michael, for those of you that don't know, does a lot of testing on coatings and things like that. He's, a genius when it comes to this. And so, yes, so we have found out through Michael and through his testing that the best combination for performance and longevity is to do 1 coat of legend, 1 coat of soul, and then to do Bead Maker to protect that while it's curing. And I hope I use the right word here, but Michael did try to explain this all to me, but it all has to do with like the elastomers in Bead Maker. And so it just allows it, you want a strong base layer, but then you still want that kind of flexible layer on top so that everything can still move and not, crack and fracture. And we're obviously talking on like microscopic level. You're not going to see if your coating cracks, but so we've just found that that's the best performance. That's what I've always done since Legend came out, and absolutely phenomenal performance. I love it. Plus I love that second coat being so easy and fast. Like I love soul. And so for me, if that's what is the best, it's also the easiest, in your application. I love doing Legend. And then it's almost like, that's almost like my vacation time during the day for coating is when I get to put soul on. And so I love that part of the day.
Compliant coatings should not be a scary experience.
Yes.
It's not, especially if you've done it a few times, but soul can be kind of zen because it's like, it goes so
you got that
easy,
nice
so
peppermint
fast.
aroma. Yeah.
Exactly. And someone, as Stephen Chin asked earlier about
Yes, UCP.
Yeah. So do you use paint prep before a recoat? Yes, you can. I go really light on it. But I've done it without it too, or it already had a solid layer of coating.
Right.
I reset the coating with UCP and then I just went straight to soul.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, either way,
Yeah.
If you're just trying to add a little bit of protect or an extra layer, you can just go straight to it.
Yeah.
If the coating was struggling and you're kind of really want to lay down something, paint prep it. It won't hurt it.
Right.
I think
exactly.
that'd be best.
Yep.
Well,
here comes Stephen Chin right here. He's walking
right
through the door. So same. We're answering your question right now, Stephen. So I just kind of base it off the vehicle. So if I'm doing just spot repair, like, cause I have a, sometimes a cat will walk across someone's hood and I'll use UCP to correct that ceramic there. Or, they might have water spots on one door and I'll use it to correct that. And then I don't worry about paint prepping. But in the case of like that Ferrari, I went over the 100% of the Ferrari with UCP 1987 and needed to recoat it with Sol, and I did use paint prep because then you're talking the whole car, right? So you just want to, really do the right thing. So yeah, either way, you just kind of judge off of that situation. Yep. Cool. Do we have any more? Great
There you go.
Yeah. So, guys, we are going to have to jump off of here because we do have airport pickups. We've got 20 people descending into Hayward today. So, Keith is already on his way to San Francisco Airport, and Kyle and I are going to be heading to San Jose. I do want to thank all of our MotorLux team. I have seen most of them in the chat today. So you guys are awesome for showing up for today's show. We cannot wait to see you guys. And we are going to have an awesome week. So stay tuned to all of our social media. We will be, sharing with you guys as much as we can of the experience. It's going to be a great week. It's going to look different. We can't wait to see Gordon. So Gordon, if you're in the chat and you hear this, we cannot wait to see you. And everybody have a fantastic week, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.